Okay, so this is day 2 of World 88 on the English servers. It is now a West Coast. It started as an East Coast server by mistake, so that really has no weight for me whatsoever. Um, as you can see, there are more buildings than when I left you yesterday, and that's because I don't just sit and wait for stuff to happen. Because unless you're building, you're not growing. So I've got more buildings. My town hall is now up to level 7. I have 70 buildings placed right now. So as we can see over here, I'm making over 2,500 wood an hour and almost 2,000 stone an hour. This is really useful. Um, I've added some more farms and some more iron mines because I'm only going to be upgrading the town hall one more time before I hunker down and uh, get everything I need for city number 2. So right now I'm building up more of my resource buildings because town hall level 8 takes 30,000 wood and 25,000 stone, which is a lot in the early game because you don't have a good infrastructure going. This is only day 2, so I mean, it's not going to be amazing. I haven't been playing this non-stop because I have some resources built up, but right now it is what it is. I've since wood and stone are my primary resources for buildings. I'm keeping them somewhat close together. Iron, I'm almost at 1,000 iron an hour, and that is because I like building troops. Because one of the strategies I'm going to show you is raiding. And what raiding does is it is kind of like giving you a second income source. So you raid at dungeons, which pop up throughout the map on different terrain tiles. They won't ever be on the empty blank ones. Always a resource tile, mountain dungeons in mountains, forest dungeons in forests. There are hill dungeons on the hills. Each one caters to its own specific troop. Mountain dungeons are better geared towards raiding with infantry. Forest dungeons are better suited to raid with cavalry, and hill dungeons are better suited to raid with magic units, such as a mage or a warlock. But I only have uh, berserkers right now, which are an infantry unit. And yes, I'm sending them to a forest dungeon because, quite frankly, I need all the help I can get. This is going to be my sole source of gold income. Right here, I'm not getting any gold an hour. This is just what I've gotten from raiding. I've raided 1, 2, 3, 4 times in dungeons and 1 boss raid. Boss raids are useful because not only does this give me a chunk of gold, but it also gives me items. I don't have to buy them. I don't have to uh, leave it up to chance when we get to that. But rather, I seek out these bosses, which require more troops than a dungeon. I've got one heading to this boss right now that has 47 Zerks, which is short for Berserkers, because that's all I had at the time. But, I mean, it's invaluable raiding tons of bosses, not just for the gold, but also for the resources, or the artifacts that they can give. Um, so, I'm sending 34 because that's a guaranteed kill. But I think for the max loot to a level 1 boss, you need to send 50. So we can do that. So move time is 10 hours. He'll get my troops will get here uh at 1 in the morning server time, which is now West Coast of the USA. And I have to wait until they move all the way back to my city before I will have access to the resources or the artifact or the gold. Like, these are the resources I got. I lost one Zerg, which luckily I can replace because Zergs are 150 iron, and I got 170 iron. Now, on your level 1 dungeons, if you lose a troop, your reports are going to be red. This means that you didn't get as many resources as you lost in the attack. But, once again, this is going to be my sole income for gold, so it's not optional. However, if I just log in even once every couple of hours, this isn't going to generate enough gold all on its own for me to be able to build a second city within a week, which is when my city is no longer protected and it's free for all. So what I'm gonna do is show you kind of how the big players or serious players are able to amass gold without building town houses. I know some players will never ever own a townhouse unless they capture it from a lawless city or another player. So to do that, you have to have the war minister, which you don't get them unless you get it through the store in game. And oops. So because most of the ministers don't have their full potential unlocked until you're a Marquess, I am only gonna get the war minister, and I'm only gonna get him for 7 days. I generally do that until I reach the right title, because then I just get the pack of all of them for 30 days set on auto renew. It's the fastest, most efficient way to build your empire. But for starting off, the war minister is going to let you raid dungeons 24/7 without being online, and that is how you're going to get your gold. So we're going to point him real quick. I know some people are upset because people that pay get an edge, but there's ways to get it for free. You can take surveys and download stuff, or you can consider this a decent hobby and pay. I consider this one of my hobbies, so that's how I view it. So we're gonna come down here to where we have our raids going out, and we're gonna go to options. And instead of just doing this once, we're gonna set them until the dungeon is completed. So this is going to have, when they get back, they're going to, as long as I have the troops, they're going to replenish whoever was lost in the attack, and then they're going to turn right around and go back. And what it means by completed is each dungeon has a progress. It starts at 0, and as it increases, the amount of troops there increase. So you need more troops in order to kill their troops, but the more troops you kill, the more loot you're gonna get. So once it hits 100, this dungeon will close, and I'll have to find another one to start raiding. But until that happens, now the raids are going to come continuously, and the travel time is 2 hours and 12 minutes to the mountain dungeon, and 2 hours to the forest dungeon. So that's one way. So to the forest dungeon, 2 hours. Back is 2 hours. Another 2 hours. So every 4 hours, I'll get a raid report. So I mean, it's gonna be a good source of income, especially if I can get reports without me losing troops. That always helps. But that's even if it's only 200 gold a raid, it'll add up quickly. Especially since I have two of these going. That's what, 400 between the two of them. And with the boss raids, that'll help. But that's why I've invested more into iron early on, because this is a strategy that I use and a lot of people use. But if you don't have the iron, you can't build the army. And that's why I've built my barracks so ridiculously high. Plus, I needed something to build when I went to bed last night. Which brings me to another key point, is this early in the game, you can't use the build minister to auto-build your cities for you. So it's best to try to choose long upgrades when you're going to be off for a couple hours or overnight, just because since you can't do anything when they're upgrading, what better time to have them do that than when you're asleep or can't be on. Anyway, another thing you can do is you can demolish resources if you don't need them at all. But so yeah, that's pretty much a look at day 2. I've got a place for tomorrow. Once I get my level 8 town hall, I'll be needing a Moonglow Tower and a Trinsic Temple, along with 3 marketplaces. Those are buildings that are all required to get city number 2. And I haven't gotten them yet because I wanted to focus early on resource collection, because that's what's going to fuel the game later on. So if you have questions, ask. The world's filling up. Okay, I guess. Continent 22, since it's the first one to open, is usually a little bit more inhabited right off the bat than any of the others. It looks like Continent 32 opened up either last night or early this morning. And then right now, if you were to join, you would spawn somewhere on Continent 23. So far, it's been slower with people joining than some of the other worlds I've been on. Like, sometimes we've had 5 continents open up on day 1. This is day 2, and we have 2 continents filled and 1 filling up right now. So I've got an alliance request, but that's not something I'm super into on the first couple days unless I know the people, and I don't. So this is day 2, Lord of Ultima on a new world. We'll get day 3 hopefully sometime tomorrow.